What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down DeAndre Hopkins in 2020 route running, guys. These are some of the best routes that I feel he ran this past year. I think his route running was the most underrated aspects of his game. Everybody loves to talk about the hands, physicality, but today we're going to talk about his routes and how he gets open. And guys, if you're a receiver and you want to learn about football IQ, how to understand defenses, how to read coverages, when you can use these moves, right? Everybody can learn the technique, but when can you apply them? Check out that link in the description. Get signed up on my website. Let's get started with this breakdown. So the first route he's going to be running here is an out and up, right? Now this out portion of this route doesn't really get this DB all too much, okay? The main thing I want to focus on is this release off the line of scrimmage, which allows him to take the outside, set this thing up for about 3 hard steps, but it's a quick 3 steps and then push vertical. So let's watch it full speed, a little hesitation, burst upfield, 1, 2, 3 to the out, and he kind of rounds this thing off, right? Now you see how that doesn't get the most separation, right? But we're going to talk about this release and why he's able to get to this point here where he can take this outside release, right? Because I can't just go inside right now and try to run an out and up, right? That's just not realistic. I got to make sure I got to take this outside release, but how do I get this separation? And also, how do I not just get completely walled to the outside? Because this is a good DB, right? So I got to give him something to freeze him on the inside. Now he gives him this little hesitation hop release to the inside, hesitation jab. Now you can see this DB's disciplined, right? His eyes are on his numbers, right? You want to go from numbers, and then when they transition into the route, they're looking at the hip. So you can see Hopkins is very sudden with his upper half. He's violent with those numbers. It's just very quick, though. His feet are sudden, and you see his toes are straight forward, and he's pushing off the inside arch of his foot to shoot him back outside, right? Now you can see here, he pushes off of that, and his hip just opens right up. Pushes off the inside arch, his hip opens up, now he's focused on getting vertical. And you see this move accomplish what it needed to accomplish. I just wanted to get this DB leaning on that inside leg, and then just be able to burst upfield and get some separation to the outside. Now you can see here, when he makes this break to the out, he kind of rounds this thing off, right? So he's coming here, 1, 2, 3, and he's bursting upfield. Now, I think he could have gotten a little bit more separation if he makes this out a little bit more square. But I think in this situation, we want to just get up in the field. You can see it's a short yardage situation. It's about, I would say, about 4 or 5 yards, so maybe 2nd and 5, 3rd and 5. So we want to get up into this route because maybe we're seeing a pressure look from the inside. We're not too sure because we can't see the front, right? But maybe Hopkins understands, okay, that he's getting some pressure, right? And that's something that I talk about on my website with Football IQ, where you understand the front. You understand what a defensive front's going to look like when it looks like they're bringing pressure, what kind of coverage it might be, right? And you could tell this is man, so that could be an indicator that he's getting pressure, okay? So we got to understand that sometimes and organize our routes accordingly. So Hopkins does that. He kind of cuts this thing a little bit short, but he knows Watson wants to get this thing up early, and you can see on the catch, his eyes are looking this thing all the way into the catch. I get this question asked a lot. How can I work better catching over the shoulder? Your eyes are everything. Your eyes want to follow this ball all the way to your hands. When you're warming up, guys, before practice, before game, before anything, you want to catch this thing and double tuck it. I want to catch, tuck it in my right arm, catch, tuck it in my left, or catch, tuck it in my right arm, then tuck it in my left, and I want to repeat that process to get used to looking this ball all the way into that tuck, just like Hopkins did. And you could see reason why he has some of the best hands in the league, okay? So again, this quick hesitation release, he doesn't pop his chest up. That's what everybody likes to do on this hesitation release. They pop up. He stays in this explosive pad level position, and that's what explodes him and gives him this outside release so he could push vertical. Let's watch it full speed. So again, kind of cuts this thing short, probably realized that there was going to be some pressure. Watson wants to get it up quick, and he catches this ball. That's a great job, okay? So now he's going to be doing this, another hesitation release, but now it's with his outside foot, kind of like a wide step, right? So let's watch it full speed. So coming off here, hesitation, gets that DB leaning inside, gets those hands off, then makes this catch over the middle. It's a great job by DeAndre Hopkins. So see how he takes this hesitation step, right? Now this DB, right, he's doing a good job. He's taught to move his feet. He's taught to shuffle with us off the line of scrimmage. Hey, that's fine. We want to take an inside release. We want to run a slant, right? So if I could get him leaning and shuffling to the right, all I got to worry about is beating this arm. I just got to make sure that that arm doesn't punch me and knock me off my pad level because I pop up. And you see Hopkins is here. He's got a nice low pad level. He's in an explosive position. Even if this DB does get hands, he's always going forward. That's the mindset that that we need to have. We always got to be going forward because that gives us the upper hand. Because in reality of it, he's in a back pedal and he doesn't know what we're doing. Okay, he has no idea the route that we're running, so he's always going to be guessing. So if we can keep pressing forward, that's going to help us get separation. You can see here, he makes this quick jab. What does he do with his shoulders? His shoulders are turned, his eyes are turned. That's what gets this DB to lean, right? So now he's trying to recover with this right arm, and all Hopkins does is rip underneath with this opposite. Now what I see a lot of people do in this situation is they'll swat with the left, and they'll bring their right way over the top. Now all that does is expose this rib cage, and this DB will pop you underneath that rib cage and then knock you out this route. He does a good job ripping underneath, and you see what it does, even with a little bit of a hold right here. But he rips underneath and attacks that point of control, his elbow, gets his hands off, and now this is a great position to be in when we got a lot of space over the middle. That's a great job, Hopkins, setting him up with this hesitation, kind of wide step release, getting him leaning to the outside, then rip back underneath, because we know all we got to do is beat his right arm. And you can see in this situation, looking for that ball, snapping his head around, and accelerates in this situation right here. Once we get hands off of him, we got to accelerate. We got to extend our distance. We got to win that race back to the ball. Let's watch it semi-full speed one more by DeAndre Hopkins. Bam. Get those hands off. Rip underneath, protect that rib cage, stay in explosive pad level position. All right, so now we're going to talk about when to change speeds, okay? When this receiver can change speeds. And I'm sorry this video is a little bit blurry, guys, but I wanted to zoom in to make sure we get to see the full portion of this route and get the best angle of the route. So I apologize for the blur. Now, the main thing here is, you guys, if you've been watching my stuff for a long time, you hear me talk about we always want to run full speed, but there are times where I say there are times we want to change the speed of the route, right? So this is a time where I wouldn't even necessarily change the speed, because that's going to make everybody pop their pad level up. Change the tempo, because that gets this DB guessing. So let's watch it full speed, and then we'll break it down. So you see it's kind of this off man look right here, right? So that's a time where I maybe want to change the speed of this route. You see how he comes out here? Good pad level, but he starts to pop up and kind of slows it down. We'll watch it full speed again. That's not his full speed look, right? And then he just kind of kicks up into second gear and runs. Now, why does he do that? Because right here, when he slows down and he kind of brings that pad level up, that gets this DB guessing. How do we set up for this? During the game, we're running full speed. We run quick out, right? We run a corner. We run a post, and we're going 100 miles an hour every time, right? Now we start to slow down, right? This DB thinks he's got our speed. Now he's guessing. And then we kick up into second gear, slow down, kick up into second gear, pump those arms, snap my eyes around, and then we make this play on this ball. That's a great job by DeAndre Hopkins. The situation to change the route, guys, is when we just want to throw this DB off of our tempo. He thinks he's got our timing down. We've been beating him all day, going full speed, full speed, full speed. Then we come at him with a little bit of a slower pace off the line of scrimmage, and then bam, we get some separation. We're able to cut this thing off right in front of his face. And you can see here, Watson is working. We just got to make sure that we're not taking too much time to where the quarterback isn't ready to give us this ball, or this quarterback's waiting on us, right? Because he's just going to move on to another read if we're not in the spot we need to be on. So this was kind of a free release where he could just attack this DB, off man look, right? So he could just slow this thing down, kick up into second gear. That's the situation where we want to change up the tempo of the route. Let's watch it full speed one more time. It's coming off, slow speed, and then kick up into second gear to make sure we get some separation. Okay, so now he's going to be running like this kind of deep cross dig route here. Now, the main thing I want to talk about is how he squares up this DB, okay? Because we want to get as much separation, especially when we're coming over the middle, as we can. We don't want this back guy in my hip pocket. So let's watch it full speed. Kind of takes an inside angle, then squares him up and attacks the midline of his body. This is a route that you guys see a lot of times in one-on-ones, right, when they're playing off man. Now, you can see here Hopkins just takes over to the inside. Now, why wouldn't he just keep running here and go over the middle? Because that DB is going to be playing this thing the whole time. We want to make sure that we get this DB in a back pedal. We want to make sure that I get him backpedaling off this line of scrimmage, right? So he comes off, and then what does he do? He squares him up. Inside, his eyes are inside. Now he squares him up with his pad level. Now when you square him up with that pad level and we're attacking the midline of this DB, that's going to get a reaction out of him. That's going to get a back pedal out of him. And then you see here, he just breaks this thing up with a speed cut, and he's opening up that left hip, right? That's what we got to do. Anytime we make this speed cut, we got to open up my opposite foot. I don't want to drag my back foot right here. I want to be real sudden, open up my hips, and then get off and run, because I got to break this thing across the field. And you see that's exactly what he does, pumping those arms, running those arms, accelerating off this break, getting as much space as we can from this DB by pushing this stem vertical and then making this catch over the middle. Now, I get this question asked a lot. Why do receivers catch with their body right here, right? Everybody's always taught catch with their hands. Now, here's the thing, and this is I'm not going to try to speak for them, but this is my only logical explanation of this, is they catch this thing with their body right here because it's over the middle and they're in traffic. Right? You saw earlier in the clip, Hopkins goes up to this high point with his hands, right? Over the middle here, there are so many threats. You got this DB, you got linebackers underneath, that if we hold this thing out here with my hands, I'm an easier target for somebody to just rip right through my hands and knock this ball out of my hands, right? So we catch with my body to make sure this thing goes right to the tuck every single time. Now, what a lot of people do is they'll be here and they let this thing kind of bounce off their chest. You see how he kind of hovers over it when he catches? That's what I want if we're going to use my body over the middle like this, guys, okay? It's going to take a lot of practice. It's going to take a lot of reps. I don't suggest you coming out and letting that thing just bounce off your chest plate, right? You see how it's different. You see how he kind of lets this thing fall right into that pocket? He doesn't let it bounce off of his chest, okay? That's the difference between catching with your body and making a smart catch over the middle. I hope that makes sense because I know I get that question asked a lot. That's a great job by DeAndre Hopkins working this kind of deep cross route over the middle, taking to the inside, squaring him up, attacking the midline, getting a back pedal out of him, then breaking it off flat at 90. Let's watch this thing full speed one more time. So angle this stem, break it up forward, and then break this thing off, catching this thing with his body, making sure we secure this catch over the middle. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, guys. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. I will make sure to get back to you, and I'll see you guys next time.